Hello and a very warm welcome back to Tungsten Tales. I'm here today to talk and reveal the draw for the 2025 PDC World Masters. Previously, of course, in its former iteration, just the PDC Masters, the reigning champion Stephen Bunting from January last year, but the tournament has gone over a serious makeover for 2025, modelled on the famous World Masters, which is run by the BDO, the British Darts Organisation, and the WDF over the last number of years. And they've taken some inspiration from that event by having a whole host of players from around the world competing in the qualifiers to get to the main TV stage. Now, the draw has been completed for those main TV stages, with the top 24 in the rankings being joined by 8 qualifiers, and we'll quickly run through where those 8 qualifiers are going to come from before we get into the meat of the tournament itself. The qualifiers, 8 of them, as I say, will come from the 25 to 56 on the PDC order of merit. They will join in the last 64, so the final qualification round. The previous round will contain numbers 57 to 88 on the order of merit, and the group stage will contain 89 to 128, as well as players from various tours around the world, including the Challenge and Development Tours, the Women's Series, where 8 players have been invited, and the likes of the Nordic and Baltic, the Asian Tour, the Championship Darts Circuit, and we're going to be seeing a player as well from the Junior Darts Corporation. So a huge amount of players involved from all sorts of areas of the world, much like the traditional World Masters has been set out over the years. So we'll get into the main draw itself, and we'll start at the top of the draw. Worth mentioning that it will be a 5-day tournament. The first round played over the 30th and 31st of January, with the second round on the 1st, quarterfinals, semi-finals, and the final on the 2nd of February. That is, of course, Sunday down in the Marshall Arena in Milton Keynes. So we'll start at the top of the draw, as I say, with Luke Humphries, who will be taking on Joe Cullen in a repeat of the World Championship match from a couple of years ago. Cullen, as we've said a number of times over the last year, probably not in the best form of his life, but did produce a really good performance at the PDC World Championships to defeat Vessel Nyman. Luke Humphries will be looking to bounce back from his defeat to Peter Wright and go on to set the record straight and hopefully, in his case, claim another major crown. Joe Cullen stands in his way. Josh Rock will meet one of the qualifiers from the aforementioned groups. Rock, number 16 in the rankings now. He's recently signed with Target Darts as well. Was previously Mission, but now joined Target. So expect to see some new darts on display for Josh Rock. Elsewhere in that quarter, you have Damon Hatter against Ross Smith. We know how disappointed Hatter was to lose against Luke Woodhouse at the PDC World Championships. A top 10 player, 8th seed here, going into the World Masters, faces Ross Smith. And the final man in the quarter of that draw is Gerwen Price. Fresh off his final over in Bahrain, Gerwen Price will potentially meet Luke Humphries in the quarterfinals of the PDC World Masters. In section 2 of the draw, at the top of it, you've got Rob Cross, who will face one of the qualifiers from the earlier rounds, Danny Noppert against Michael Smith, which is a clash that we saw so many times in 2022. They were pretty much drawn against each other in every European tour they were due to face in every major if they made it through, and we're going to get to see it again in 2025. Michael Smith, of course, now outside the top 16 in the world, and will be looking to add some more ranking money to his list. Stephen Bunting will start his defence off against one of the qualifiers, and awaiting him will be Peter Wright or another qualifier. Peter Wright, fresh off a really impressive display over in Bahrain, We haven't seen the best of Peter Wright in the year 2024. Here's hoping 2025 is a better year for Snakebite. As we go into the bottom half of the draw, and the main man, the current reigning world champion and number 2 in the world, Luke Littler. A qualifier will have the chance to play Littler in the opening round. Of course, that will be on the Wednesday afternoon and evening, as I say. And he will face the winner of James Wade and Mike De Decker. We know Littler and De Decker had a fantastic game at the Grand Slam of Darts late in 2024, and they may be able to replicate that should Littler and De Decker get past Wade and Littler's respective opponent. Next up in that quarter, you have Johnny Clayton against Martin Schindler. Schindler started last year really, really well, but tailed off towards the end. He'll be hoping that he can start off 2025 in similar fashion. And then PDC World Championship semi-finalist Chris Dobie. He faces the former Players Championship finalist Ryan Searle in his opening game of the Masters 2 years on since he won the event, of course. We then move to number 3 seed Michael van Gerwen, a former champion, of course, at the Masters. He will play, much like Littler, a qualifier from the Wednesday afternoon. So a real chance to be drawn against some of the top names in the world. The winner of that game will play Gary Anderson or Dimitri Vandenberg. We're all so hotly anticipating Michael van Gerwen against Gary Anderson at Alexandra Palace, and we didn't get it due to Gary Anderson's defeat to Geoffrey de Graaf. Maybe we could get it in Milton Keynes over a slightly different format. Sets format, we'll come to that in a minute, but potentially Michael van Gerwen against Gary Anderson in the last 16 of the World Masters. And then Dave Chisnall in the final little section of the draw will also play one of the qualification players, with Nathan Aspinall or Andrew Gilding, his opponent in the last 16. So there we have it. Big opportunities for Luke Littler to claim another PDC title, and a tough start for Luke Humphries at the hands of Joe Cullen. We'll just let you know everything else to do with this year's tournament. The prize money has remained the same, £100,000 to the winner, with £50,000 going to the runner-up. And it's important to say that the money on this occasion will all go on the rankings. That's not been a previous rule with the Masters, but now every player in the 128 and indeed outside of the 128 has the chance to qualify for this event. It is indeed a ranked major. As far as the format goes, the preliminary rounds will be the best of 3 sets. Every set will be the best of 3 legs, so possibility of just 4 legs in those preliminary rounds. The first round will be the best of 5 sets, with the second, that's the last 16, and the quarterfinals being played over the best of 7, semi-finals over the best of 9, and the final best of 11 sets. Once again, I remind you that the sets will be best of 3 rather than best of 5, as you're used to seeing at the PDC World Darts Championships. We'll be there at the Winmau World Masters next week, from the Thursday, from the televised stages, interviewing all your favourite players. So hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, so make sure you don't miss any of the interviews and the exclusive content heading into the World Masters. Thank you very much for tuning in once again to Tungsten Tales, and we look forward to seeing you next time with more Darts Daily.